There are tens of thousands of cryptocurrencies on the market. With a market cap of roughly $850 billion, they're all fighting to be the one cryptocurrency. Many speculate that'll be Bitcoin, but I'm here to tell you why Bitcoin will never be a currency. There are 3 reasons. 1 is that it's deflationary, 2, that it's volatile, and 3, because the government can't control it. Fans of Bitcoin will typically say a benefit is that it is deflationary, that you don't have to worry about greedy inflation stealing all the value of your dollar. While that is the case, you don't have to worry about inflation, you do have to worry about deflation, and that is actually more harmful to the economy. There's a video game called New World. It is an MMORPG, which is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game. Now, it's not really important, but the point is that there's millions of people playing this game every day, and it has its own currency and items and economy. Most games in this genre have an inflationary problem. There are too many ways to accrue currency, and there's not enough ways to spend it. This leads to the prices of goods increasing so that it can hold their value. There are a few ways to fix this problem. 1 is to decrease the amount of currency you get from completing each task. This isn't a very popular solution, as it seems like now you are not being rewarded for the stuff you're doing in the game, and so why would people do it if you're not being rewarded? Another way is to enforce a tax system. So every time you want to cross a bridge, you have to pay X dollars, or every time you need to repair your sword, you have to pay X dollars. This is more common, but it also makes the game feel a little bit more tedious, as you have to keep doing these tasks repeatedly, and it seems like you're being charged to play the game. The most common way of removing excess currency from the game is through increasing prices. And this is called inflation. It helps boost the economy, especially when the game allows for trading of items between players. And what it's really beneficial for is maintaining the value of the items within the game. The downside is that it can be really tricky to find the correct inflation rate within the game. And in fact, many MMORPGs, they actually hire actual economists to help run the economy within the game. In New World, there aren't a lot of ways to accrue currency in the game. But yet there's a lot of taxes, like the tax of crossing the bridge or repairing your sword. You have to pay these taxes, otherwise you can't continue on with the game. This helps control the money supply within the game. Because of the few ways to accrue the currency and lots of ways to spend it, the only way for the items to maintain their value is if you decrease the price of them. This means the value of the dollar increases over time, which means that you want to hold on to it because tomorrow it'll be worth more than it is today. That is a deflationary currency. The problem with this is that why would anyone spend their money today when they know tomorrow they can get the same item for cheaper? With deflating prices, your money is more valuable the longer you hold on to it. This has led players to switch over to the old trade and barter system. Some even use other abundant inflationary items as their currency as a replacement. The in-game currency at this point is never used because everyone knows it's more valuable the longer you hold on to it. This is exactly the case with Bitcoin. Everyone holds on to Bitcoin because they know tomorrow it will be worth more, not because they're spending it on items and goods and services. It's not really a great quality to have as a currency. A currency requires some sort of medium of exchange, that there's a massive amount of people buying and selling goods and using Bitcoin as that medium of exchange. This isn't the case. Now, a lot of people are buying and selling Bitcoin, but they're buying it with the US dollar or other country-backed currencies. Bitcoin is more similar to gold with less intrinsic value than it is to being a currency. It is simply a volatile digital hedge against inflation. This brings me to the next point, is that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are very volatile. Some claim that another benefit of Bitcoin is that it's a good hedge against inflation, but with the increased volatility of cryptocurrencies, this really just diminishes that benefit entirely. The point of hedges against inflation is that your investment will increase more or the same as the currency that you're trying to hedge against. If your hedge increases less than the inflation of your currency, it is not a hedge, it's a speculation. I'm going to make this as simple as possible. Inflation right now is 6.5%. Bitcoin from just 1 year ago is down 43%, which is a total of 49.5%, which means that your hedge against inflation just lost you 50% of your dollar value. With how volatile Bitcoin is, you'll never understand the true value of items. Prices would change so quickly, you would never actually be able to keep up with it. With the current inflationary US dollar, you know your $100 today is going to be worth relatively the same tomorrow. And within a year from now, it should be worth roughly $98. It's stable. Bitcoin, from one day to the next, can change in upwards of 10%. That means your $100 today could be worth $90 tomorrow. It would be impossible to financially plan for your future if that was our main currency. Finally, the biggest reason why Bitcoin will never be a currency is because the government can't control it. And this is also probably why Bitcoin has so many followers behind it. It's a deregulated currency. Many people believe the US dollar is valuable because we all just agreed that it was valuable. Well, this isn't really the case, because the reason why it's valuable is that we are forced to pay taxes to the US government, and if we don't, we go to jail. If the government suddenly said that we need to pay our taxes in rubber ducks, we all would want rubber ducks. This didn't happen because we all suddenly agreed that rubber ducks have value, but instead it's because the government is forcing us to pay taxes through the means of rubber ducks. Just like right now, we are forced to pay our taxes through the means of US dollar. The government will never say they are accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment for taxes, the same reason why they won't accept rubber ducks. They can't control the supply. If the government wants to pay off some debt, they just print the money and pay off the debt. If they want to boost the economy, they will print some more money and send out stimulus checks. If they want to slow down the economy, they will increase interest rates and increase the reserve requirement. They control the US dollar, which means they can control the economy. Now, it's a little more complicated than that, but the point is that no one can control Bitcoin. Some might see that as a benefit, but the problem is that no country will accept that as their main form of currency because they can't control it. And as long as the US government keeps accepting US dollars for taxes, that would be the main currency. Now, just because Bitcoin will never be a currency doesn't mean that it doesn't have a place in our economy. It just doesn't have a place as a currency.